Yes, I thought about examples of musical examples that would bring maybe questions as far as the music is concerned. But the thing about Don Giovanni through a musical viewpoint is its greatness. When you're a genius, you just do things automatically and they're correct. You don't have to think about them. They just happen. Form and content become one and the same. You can't possibly express this music unless it's expressed this particular way. And Mozart didn't really sit down there and figure out, yeah, to a certain extent he did. He was just a genius. It just happened. And that's the best kind of things. When you create that way, it's just... But it also takes two to tango, so to speak. And he found a wonderful writer in Lorenzo da Ponte. Lorenzo da Ponte is like maybe Boito was to Verdi. A great writer in just what he did. And I want to just give you maybe 2-3 sentences about da Ponte. He was born in the middle, I don't know exactly when, 1760, something like that, in the Venice area of Italy. And his father was Jewish. He was born Jewish, but converted to Catholicism. And eventually, of all things, he became an ordained priest. And he took up writing, and he liked to chase the women. And he went to Venice because of an incident. And in Venice, essentially the same thing happened. He became a very good writer, a respected writer. He was politically involved a little bit in Venice, but he had to leave Venice because of scandal, and he wound up in Vienna as a court writer, and quite successful. He wrote librettos for Salieri, and the other opera mentioned in the end, what's it called, the three dances, the three things, Bravo Litiganti, Cosa Rara. That's the first one, remember? Cosa Rara? It's an opera by Soler. And he met Mozart, and they hit it off terrifically, really terrifically. A fine, fine writer. When you think of Shakespeare, when you think of how the words mesh, how colorful the words are, Mozart took to it right away. And you could hear if Da Ponte writes a sentence that begins with all the letter M or the letter S, Mozart goes along with it and does the same thing 3 or 4 times. I mean, it's just wonderful. He wrote the librettos for Mozart's Le Nozze and also Così fan tutte, and this opera. Eventually, he had to leave Venice. The same thing happened, and he wound up in London, where he started an opera company called the Royal Opera Company. And he presented an Italian opera there, but he ran bankrupt, and he had to flee his creditors, and he came to the United States. And he landed here in Philadelphia. I don't know whether you can visit where he had a store, I think on 3rd Street, close to where Christ Church is, on 2nd Street, but he had a store on 3rd, a grocery store. And eventually he moved to New York City, and he knew some commentatori, these titled Italians that were living in New York, and they introduced him to Columbia University, where he worked as an Italian professor. He taught Italian in Columbia University. And I think, although it's been disproved now, he was buried in someplace in Queens when you go out to the airport there. But he's marvelous, marvelous presence. A very literate man, and the success of anything of these Mozart operas is due a lot to him. Now, Don Giovanni, we talked about the fact that it starts in D minor, which is odd for Mozart. He just does not start. There might be some opera that he started in the minor key. The ones that I know are, I think, yeah, they are. Idomeneo starts in D major, yeah. They're in major keys. And right away, in the first 5 minutes, as I said, his attempted assault on this titled woman. And then the father comes out to defend her. And Don Giovanni does say, I don't want to fight you. I'm not worthy of fighting you. And he provokes him and says, no, you've got to. Fight. That pretend to be a man. Fight me. And he does, and he kills him. 5 minutes. Then the next time we see him he's always involved with some kind of seduction. And as Jeffrey said, sure, while he's on his pranks, he illuminates people. I mean, let's face it, when the man comes up to a woman, this very appealing man, he's educated, he speaks well, he's charming, He's delightful, great company. But in today's world, if you can imagine somebody who had all these attempted rapes, all this, no, it just wouldn't happen today. As charming as you are, these people would, he'd be on the nightly news or something. And then we think of him in that way. We think, oh, there's the Don being charming. Yes, but there's always that dark, sinister side about him, which I find exciting, actually. And the first example I want to give you is a music example, which to me is one of my favorite pieces in the opera. And that comes in the second act, A major. It's a trio. And for all you musicians here, it's a trio that is written practically perfect sonata allegro form. Has the keys where it should go, has the exact amount of bars and measures. That's wonderful. And it's really beautiful, beautiful music. When you hear the first strands of those violins come in, it's just, you can see this woman coming out on her balcony, and you can see her hair flowing to the Seville breezes, and she's up there bemoaning the fact like she hates this man, she doesn't want, but her heart is, oh, there's something, and I still love him. And anyway, up to this point, and even later, it's generally conceded that Rigoletto might be a very good example of an ensemble where singers have different emotions, and they sing different emotions, different situations, and their lines are different. The music is different. You have the quartet from Rigoletto. Gilda's singing her spastic things, and there's the comforting. And each line is separate and it's brought together. Well, but when you think of Lucia di Lammermoor, the sextet, no matter the soprano and the tenor, they're on the same notes, singing different things, but all the singing same lines. And that was true pretty much in opera up to that point, where ensembles, everybody sang the same interwoven. Even if it was I love you, I hate you, I will, they all were, just the words changed. Well, in this trio here, the music changes. I mean, this is really fabulous music for 1787, where the soprano is singing this longing music, and she does not want to feel that she might still love him. You know, she has traveled the countryside to find Giovanni because Giovanni seduced her, made her believe that they were symbolically married, if not by the church or heaven. And she loved him so much, and she sacrificed, and he ran away. He left her. So she indignantly, the Spanish lady, she goes out to seek and find him. And she protests a lot. Yes, I know that. But she comes out, you know, thinking, singing to herself, oh, my heart stopped. My unjust heart. I love that. She calls it my unjust heart. In other words, not thinking correctly, you know. And then the Don is there. He sings. He takes advantage of the fact because he's interested in her maid. So what he does is he tells his manservant, Leporello, let's change cloaks, hats, something. Let's change gear. I want you to get Donna Elvira interested, she could think that you're singing to her. And she'll come down, that'll free me, and I'll go up there. So he's bragging about, I'm such a clever guy, like Barbara Seville style. He says, I'm clever, più fertile talento, more of a fertile talent nobody can do. And there is his manservant, Leporello, saying, oh, he's always frightened. This guy's always frightened. They said, oh, and he feels so sorry for her. And indeed, it is sorrowful when you see a woman saying, I think I still love him. Oh, no, she hears him. He sings a serenade. Oh, no, don't capitulate. You're a brute. But, oh, it's sad. It's kind of pathetic in this sense. And this beautiful music, with each line delineated, brought together. So, with that, I want the singers who are going to sing to introduce themselves, please. Donna Elvira.
Hello, everyone. My name is Anush Avatisyan, and I'm one of your Donna Elviras tonight.
And what year are you here?
I'm a third year at the Academy of Vocal.
And you've never done a role? You've never done a role?
This role, no.
Okay. And we have Giovanni.
I think I'm Giovanni.
Yes, you are.
My name's Jared Bivey. I'm a third-year baritone, and I am one of the Giovannis. Oh,
And
Testing. Okay.
Leporello.
Yeah.
I'm Andre Courville from Lafayette, Louisiana. Third year bass baritone here, singing Leporello.
Okay. Do you want to illuminate us a little bit about the scene or how you feel about it or anything?
Okay.
Okay. Go ahead.
Actually, we just staged this scene today. We went through it with the director and still processing the information. But this scene, I think, is one of the most comedic moments in the opera. It really is clever how Don Giovanni has his servant Leporello exchange clothing with him so that he can get away the woman that he already married and left so he can get to her servant. It's kind of a fun, complicated ring. But I don't know what I could offer that would be exquisitely intelligent other than, well, let's just show them.
Sure, absolutely.
Why don't we just do that?
Yeah, absolutely. You go on stage, or you want to do it on stage?
I think we're doing it on stage.
Right. And it's a good point you brought out because it is called dramma giocoso. This is when the jocular or playful, however you want to translate giocoso. It's a drama, not seria like these other operas which involve kings and queens and senators and deities. This is some jocular moments. It's interesting to note also that Don Giovanni is never successful in this opera, never. He goes over, Mr. Leporello keeps a catalog. And how many did he have in France, how many in Italy, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And he keeps a list, and he wants that list up to date. And he's proud that he has this list up to date. But we never see that in this opera. The solution, I mean, and at the end, when he gets these two powerful forces coming, greeting, it's like, oh. Anyway, beautiful music, great voices, and great masters that we're privileged to serve. Just imagine it's Seville, her hair flowing, the breeze coming up, and her heart is pumping away.